All right, so we are live. Hey, what's up? What's up? It's your girl Neek, and I have a very special guest, attorney at law Dimitri, and I don't want to chop up his last name, but he is a YouTuber as well, and he gives legal advice as well. So I definitely want you guys to come on in, get some of his analysis of this Diddy situation, and also make sure to visit his YouTube channel as well. It's on the screen, youtube.com/DShackLaw. Now, yesterday the news broke of Diddy, and sorry if there's an echo or the sound quality is not the greatest. I'm not at home. I'm out on vacation, but still working at the same time. Okay. So, basically yesterday Diddy's house got raided and a lot of people had a lot of things to say. There was people tracking his jet saying that he had flew to Antigua, and then there was people who say that he was seen at Miami airport. Then there was all of the raids that happened simultaneously at his Miami and Beverly Hills homes at the same time. And there is so much that has been brewing. So I wanted to bring Dimitri on to answer some of the questions that people may have about the investigation, what's going on, or just, the legal aspects of things, period. So before we get into that, I'm going to just do like a quick clip of the news, basically talking about the raids. I think it was just like real quick. And then we're going to get into you guys' questions. Come on in, come on in. Start asking your questions now so that once I play a little quick snippet that, it's already ready to go.
Being linked to a sex trafficking investigation.
He got some shots of a few people coming out of the home. Those people have been detained. Now we're trying to still connect the dots. We do have some sources on scene here that we're getting this information from. We were actually the first ones here with about 30 different law enforcement vehicles at least. There are 3 Bearcats on scene here. This just all unfolded, Sandra, I would say, less than 10 minutes ago. We got here even before the crime scene tape came up. So we're just down the hill. If you look up this street where Tony is right now to the right, you'll see one of those Bearcats, and law enforcement. And on the other side of those bushes, basically, is that home that is registered to Bad Boy Films, which
is being linked to a sex trafficking investigation.
He got.
All right. So as you see there, that is basically what is going on. And I'll read a little bit of it. It says that Diddy's Los Angeles and Miami homes have been raided. According to TMZ, there were helicopters overhead and local law enforcement also present. And Homeland Security was the lead agency conducting this investigation. Diddy's reportedly at his Miami home. This is all in connection to a trafficking lawsuit. There have been multiple allegations and several civil suits against Diddy, including human trafficking, all of which he has denied. All right. So there were people detained, including his children, and a lot of people felt some type of way about it. There was a lot of celebrities who were weighing in about it. There was Cassie's lawyer who also made a statement about it as well. And people feeling like they are going to take him down. There was reports, like I said, of his jet. People were tracking his jet. So I'll share that with you guys real quickly. And then we're going to get into the questions. So here is the photo, and it says, TMZ has tracked Diddy's personal Love Air LLC jet, the well-known black Gulfstream 5 that Diddy has flaunted and flown for years now. And it looks like the aircraft is currently on the ground in Antigua, which is down in the Caribbean.
It's being linked to a sex.
So in addition to them saying and making claims that his jet they were tracking his jet, there was then footage that the Shade Room shared where he was spotted outside of a Miami airport. So I'll show you guys that, and then we'll get some questions. If you have a question, put Q in the front so that I can distinguish what's a question, what is not, and we can get on into it. So this right here that I'm about to show you next is footage of Diddy at the airport. And then we're gonna get into you guys' questions. So as you can see, it says footage reportedly shows Diddy walking
I guess you
outside of
wonder what's
Miami
going to happen next,
airport.
Diddy. I know.
All right. So that's the footage of him. So there's reports saying that he was supposed to be on his jet flying to Antigua. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Antigua, whatever. And then there was reports of him being at the Miami airport. So y'all let me know. Let's get into these questions. Question. If the feds are raiding his home, is it safe to say they have something concrete against him?
Good morning, everybody. Wow, that was a great introduction. So look, you know, when the lawsuit was filed last year, I came on your show, I think, and
Yeah.
I distinguished, I made sure to distinguish between a civil case and a criminal case, right? And what I said was what is being alleged may sound criminal, but it's not criminal. And it's important that we keep these things apart. Now, it's still not criminal in the sense that there's no charge filed against him, no indictment. But we're getting closer, right? The question is a great question, and it makes total sense. In the United States, in order to get into one's home, right? So let's kind of back up a bit. The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution says that you can't search anything without a warrant, right? And that warrant has to be based on something called probable cause. Now, over the years, there have been numerous exceptions to that because obviously, right, it's not practical for cops to always get a warrant. And by cops, I mean federal agents, state agencies, local agencies, everybody, right? And so that's where a lot of these kinds of exceptions came about. Things like stop and frisk and search incident to arrest, plain view, all these things that people hear about. Now, in order to get into the home, none of those exceptions apply basically, right? You need a warrant. And in order to get a warrant, agents have to go to a judge and testify under oath that there is some cause to think that something criminal is going on. So it's not safe to assume that he's guilty of anything, right? That's not what we're allowed to do even. But it is safe to assume that if a warrant was issued in this case, somebody must have testified under oath as to something going on here. So that's the only thing we can really assume now.
Okay. So someone says, will the charges follow suit? Can we expect Diddy to be arrested this week?
Look, when a search warrant is executed, when a home is raided, when property is seized, that's typically not a good thing, right? And oftentimes that does lead to some set of criminal charges or an indictment of some sort. Whether or not it'll happen this week, nobody knows, right? Whether or not it'll happen at all, nobody knows. There are reports that he's the target of this investigation. Again, those are just reports. But certainly we're getting closer and closer to something in the criminal realm happening, right? It's no longer just civil, right? You have the DHS, which is a federal agency, which is a big deal, right? The feds, when they invest money into an operation like this, usually do it for a reason, and they're usually very good at it. And so if that's what they're doing, it seems like something is afoot and something is being planned. But again, nobody knows just yet.
Now, being that Cassie's attorney was quick to give a statement, do you believe that this derives in any, I mean, I know you can't say positively or whatever because we don't have the paperwork, but do you believe that this could possibly be stemming from some of the things that she alleged in her case?
It's possible, right? And as I said back, I think it was November when I was on your show last, right? It's certainly possible that the government agencies in charge of arresting folks and charging them with crimes reviewed some of the allegations in that lawsuit, because some of the allegations in that lawsuit, like I said, sounded criminal, right? And some of the other stuff that's developed after that also sounds criminal. Now, we can't ever make the jump from civil to criminal, but what we can do is see how these things develop, right? And if you have enough of these lawsuits, it's safe to say that government agencies may pay attention and may form some sort of belief as to what they have to do.
Okay. Do you think Diddy's sons know where they're? Will they turn him in upon their questioning? I don't know that he has the answer to that, but go ahead.
Well, nobody knows whether he has to be turned in yet, right? If he has to be turned in, then he'll hire a lawyer. Or if he hasn't already, I'm sure he has. And at some point, police will seek to have him return, assuming he's gone, right? And if not, you can extradite him. I don't anticipate he'll flee the country and evade arrest. It just doesn't seem likely in a case as high profile as this one. Seems to be some issue with the video.
I got kicked out of the stream, so I don't know what happened. So I'm so sorry.
Welcome back.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys are able to continue. All right, so next question. Someone said, I think, hold on. They said something about if this was Homeland Security. Hold on, let me see. I seen a question. Okay.
Look,
Someone says, I thought Homeland Security dealt with national security. Why would this agency be involved with a trafficking?
well, number one, these agencies, the assignments that they're given don't necessarily directly relate to their mission statements, right? They all work together. That's the whole point of the federal government, right? They're supposed to be branches of the federal government, law enforcement agencies that work together. But also, we don't know what the allegations are. So we don't know what this case will involve, if there even is a case. Right, I'm sure it's Department of Homeland Security. I'm sure it's the FBI. I'm sure it's the investigators associated with the U.S. Attorney's Office. And that's just on the federal level. You don't know what's happening in state courts, if anything. Right, so the fact that DHS is involved doesn't mean that it's some sort of national security investigation only.
Okay. Someone says, oh, first, before this question, someone says, do you have a YouTube channel? His YouTube channel is listed below his name under there. So someone says, if Diddy is found guilty under RICO, will record labels mentioned in the lawsuit be investigated as well?
So again, right, he would have to be, RICO isn't necessarily a statute, right? RICO is a set of crimes. So if he's charged, a category of offense, right? If he's charged with certain crimes under that statute or category of statutes, then it's possible civil lawsuits will flow from that as well. And depending on the involvement of these record labels and the folks involved in these record labels, it's possible they'll be held what's called vicariously liable, right? Meaning he was the active wrongdoer and they may have been passive wrongdoers just sitting back and allowing it to happen. But we're far too early in the process to make any real predictions as to that.
Okay. Liz says, how long do you think the government was watching him? What is the seriousness of Homeland Security being involved?
The seriousness of any federal agency being involved, right? When the feds do work in this country, they do it very well, right? There's a lot of money allocated to these federal investigations. They're treated with immense importance, right? The agents, the lawyers, the investigators, all the folks in the federal government typically do a good job, a thorough job, and they typically know what they're doing. So it's very serious that feds are involved, right? That's a huge indicator that something is not looking good for him. And that's why if you look at the federal conviction rates, for example, right, they're very, very high, right? They're almost 100%, really. Federal involvement is a big deal. Absolutely.
All right. Let's see if there is any other questions that I missed. And let me drop the link. Dimitri doesn't have that long, so I'm going to try to breeze through as
That's
many
right.
as we can. I'm going to drop the link as well if you guys want to come up. Someone says, do they have any idea where Diddy is now? If he was questioned, why would they release him?
Well, again, why would they release him if he was questioned? So if he is a target, right, and if he is somebody whom they seek to arrest, then there are certain things that must happen, right? If he surrenders, they can't ask him questions necessarily. If he's in custodial interrogation, he has certain rights that he can invoke, right? So it depends on in what capacity they're talking to him. I don't think he'll be on the run, quote unquote. I don't think this will be a case where they're going to try to get him and they can't find him or they can't get him back, right? It doesn't strike me, especially in this day and age, especially with this high-profile case, that that'll happen here. As for everything else, I am certain that he has lawyers in place talking to the government at this point, figuring out how to keep him out of trouble as much as possible, and that obviously includes making statements.
Okay. Have you seen Candace Owens' statement where she made a statement saying that she feels like he's just the fall guy for other people?
Yeah, I mean, look, I haven't seen that one. I've seen some other things that she was saying. Look, that's all speculation, and that's all not something that I can speak to because it's outside my expertise, A, and B, it's not anything that's been substantiated. All these reports about where he's going, where he's leaving, all these other things. That's just hard to say. Nobody will really know that with any accuracy until much further in the process, assuming the process goes further.
All right. She says, if there are other high-profile political officials / public figures that are involved based on findings from the raid, can they request their names to be redacted from the record?
That's actually a great question. It depends on what they're doing in there, right? So the government typically, particularly as a criminal case progresses, right? So before he's arrested and before they're in court, the government doesn't have to turn over anything, no evidence, right? If and when he's in court, the discovery process takes shape and they have to turn over all their witnesses and all these other things. And they can only redact information if there's a reason to do it, right? Because the defendant has rights in this country. And one of those rights is to know who the witnesses are against him, right? It's in the 6th Amendment. Now, they can redact those if there are safety concerns, if these people are confidential informants or other sensitive witnesses, if there's sensitive information there related to children, that could also be redacted. But generally speaking, in time, if we're in court, all of these things will come out.
All right. On my other video, there was a question, and someone says, if there is a ongoing criminal investigation against Diddy, can they also charge him with RICO because women said they were flew out of state to New York?
Well, so again, also charge him with RICO. RICO is a category of offenses, right? So he can be charged in different places. He can be charged by various jurisdictions, right? He can't be charged for the same thing all over the place all the time. That's not going to happen. But depending on what he did and where and what jurisdiction, what state can come in and what court can come in, he can be charged with similar conduct in different places, right? And so maybe that's what will happen here. If the feds have jurisdiction, is because there was a crossing of state lines or some violation of a federal statute. So it's possible that there'll be numerous cases, if there are any. Again, it's tough to jump to any conclusions as of yet.
Someone says, could this have anything to do with the alleged murders he's accused of being involved in? If you don't know, he's accused of Tupac, and he's also accused of his wife, his ex baby mama. or whatever. I don't know if they got married.
Well, again, so it could. The answer to a question such as could it be? It could be, right? But again, that's entirely speculative at the moment.
Okay. Stevie says, do you think they got a tip from somebody? And if so, why did they raid his home not knowing that he wasn't there?
Well, him being there doesn't necessarily prevent them from raiding the home. Again, if they want to arrest him, I'm pretty sure they have the mechanism to do that right now. I'm pretty sure they have probable cause. It's a very low standard in the law. So I don't think that's the issue. Right now, you would think that an endeavor of this nature is just designed to seize evidence and to gather evidence for if and when there's a criminal trial.
Okay. Let's see. Liz says, is it protocol for his lawyers to rush to the scene of the raid or in communication with the government while he's hiding out until he's forced to turn himself in?
So his lawyers are certainly in communication with the government. I'm pretty sure there's no doubt about that. Whether or not they should be at the scene, it depends. There are a bunch of ethical rules as to what lawyers can and can't do. Some lawyers like to stay away from that stuff because the rules of ethics say that you can't witness certain events in a case, or you can't be a lawyer in that case because you may be called as a witness, right? So to some degree, that's unusual. I don't think anything weird is implied from that.
Okay. Let's see. Are you aware of what specific items were confiscated from the raid?
No, and nobody is at this point, right? What you always tell a client when this kind of things happen is to make sure they get all the names of all the agents, all the inventory that was taken, right? A copy of the warrant. So I'm sure his lawyers told him that, and I'm sure that'll come out over time. Again, if this goes anywhere.
Okay. Is it true that if the feds come and raid, they have a case already?
So it depends on what you mean by a case. They have an investigation, you would presume, right? There's no indictment. There's no charge, right? There's no docket in any federal courthouse. So there's no case. But there's an investigation. There's an internal case, presumably, depending on who's conducting this investigation.
All right. Let's see if there's any other questions. Some people are saying that he fled. Well, there's conflicting reports on if he fled the country or not. So those of you guys who are saying that he fled the country, there's kind of conflicting reports. There's reports that his jet was in Antigua. Then there is reports of him being spotted in Miami at the airport. So there's kind of conflicting reports. We really don't know for sure where he is. For those of you who probably missed my intro. Let's see if there is anything else. Somebody said, is he hiding out? Doesn't look like it. We've seen video of him pacing around. Let's see if there's any other questions. Is there anything that you wanted to elaborate on?
This whole idea of him fleeing, right? Number one, again, I don't think that's likely unless he flees to a country with no extradition. In a case like this, I really can't imagine that will happen for a variety of reasons. If he does flee and then he's ultimately brought back, right, every prosecutor will tell a jury that he fled, and that's an indicator of guilt. So I don't know if that's something that he would do. But again, we just don't know enough about that yet.
Okay. Unforgettable says, can he get a tip about a raid?
When you say tip, his lawyers likely knew something like this may happen. Most lawyers do. I mean, I've been involved in these cases a lot, and I know when you kind of get a sense that something like this is coming, right? Very rarely do prosecutors or investigators tell you this will happen, but it's likely that his lawyers knew. In terms of a tip being some sort of kind of inside information, that implies corruption and other things. I don't know about that. But, I am sure, because this kind of stuff has been going on for months and months already, that his lawyers probably told him, hey, this may go down, so make sure that you are aware of it. Not that he's going to do anything differently, presumably, but, I don't think this was the biggest shock in the world to him.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Why were the children in handcuffs?
I mean, look, it depends on what the case is about, right? If the children are in handcuffs because they are targets of the investigation, then they have certain rights that kick in, right? So it really depends. And if they were in handcuffs and all that stuff will come out, we'll really be able to tell. Again, it's just so early. Nobody knows exactly what's happening.
Right. Someone says, at this stage of the investigation, do you think they have gone as far as having his passports revoked? And could they have standing to keep his private jet grounded?
That can only happen once they're in court. They're not in court yet, right? So the only way the government can take away your passport is if they go to a judge and the judge lets them do it, right? They can't just kind of take it without due process, right? That's not allowed.
All right. So let's see if there's any updates on TMZ. TMZ says sources with direct knowledge tell us Diddy was with his family when Homeland Security agents rolled up on them. And while there was certainly some questioning going on, we're told that nobody was arrested, including Diddy. And our sources tell us his movements are currently not restricted either, at least not yet anyway. In other words, he's free to roam. TMZ has obtained a new photo of the moment federal law enforcement officials intercepted Diddy's party, and you can see them all on the runway as agents speak with them. So I guess, as they were reaching the jet. So let me share this real quick because this kind of will answer some of the questions that you guys are asking. Let's show this on the screen. All right, so right here, I guess the agents were meeting his party of people at the airport. And so this is the photo that TMZ says. It says TMZ has obtained a photo of the moment law enforcement officials intercepted Diddy's party, and you can see them all on the runway as agents speak with them. So they are aware of his movements, and I'm sure they could have, arrested him, but it says unclear where Diddy might be at this point, but obviously Uncle Sam has his eye on him. And this is footage from the raid when that happened. So I just wanted to clear some of those questions up. So let's see if there's any more. And then you just tell me your timeline, Dimitri, and we'll work off of that. How long do you think this process will go on? Do you believe his associates, Carisha, etc., are being watched as well?
Look, depending on the scope of the investigation, everything is on the table, right? Depending on how wide this thing is, not only him, his family, his associates, his colleagues, everybody that he works with, everybody is fair game, right? Because they're right now at the evidence gathering stage, and they don't know where the evidence will lead them. So they're going to cast a wide net, right? That's their job. And so it's possible for sure.
Yeah. All right. And then somebody in the chat asked who his lawyers are. I believe Sean Hawley is one of his lawyers. And the other lawyer was, I think, the lady, the Gail Maxwell, whatever you say her name, her lawyer as well.
Well, his lawyer here in New York is a guy named Ben Brafman, who's been his lawyer for many, many years, who's one of the premier lawyers in the country. He's in New York, and I'm sure there are other lawyers around other states as well. And lawyers have ways once this case goes to court, if it goes to court, to get licensed in other places for a particular case. So I'm sure he has numerous lawyers in numerous places.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. If there's anybody who wants to come up and ask a question, I dropped the link as well. Don't be shy. Okay. We don't bite. Somebody said Diddy is too powerful. He's not doing time. He will be in another country before then.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's, a whole lot of powerful people go to jail. And by a whole lot, I mean, relatively speaking, right? Not in comparison to the general population. But certainly he has more resources than other people to avoid these consequences. So let's see. Again, the feds do a very good job of investigating these cases.
All right. Do you think that they'll reopen the shooting case Diddy and his son was allegedly a part of?
Well, I don't know exactly what that's referring to, but you can reopen any case as long as double jeopardy doesn't apply. And if it's an investigation that was closed, as long as the statute of limitations is all set, then you can reopen those investigations and charge those crimes.
All right. I can't verify this, but this is not a question for you. It's just something that someone commented. It says Justin Combs was accused of soliciting lot lizards, underage girls, and participating in FOs. And Justin is 30 years old. He's not a child. That was a statement from a viewer. I cannot verify, confirm, or deny what they said in that statement. There was one of his neighbors, and again, I cannot verify this statement either, but I can just share what was said, but I cannot verify because it is alleged and there's no proof that was shown. But there was a neighbor who also made an allegation, so I'll just share that. And that this allegation has nothing to do with Dimitri, or it's none of, neither one of our views or opinions or anything like that.
Yes, I obviously, again, it's important, particularly in my line of work, to stick to the facts and what's actually
right next to him. He do too much. He be like buses, like big ass buses. You just see all type of shit hop out. Especially at nighttime, like around 3 o'clock in the morning. It gets wild. I'm his neighbor. When my basketball go over there, I just let it be because I don't want him out to the door. Yeah, tell him stop bringing all the minors over here late at night. I live right next to him. He do too much. He be like buses, like big ass buses. You just see.
Okay, so that was not anything that we can confirm or deny or whatever. It's not either one of our views, but I just shared it just because. What protects rich people from extortion?
Well, extortion is a crime. If somebody extorts anybody, rich or poor, they can go to jail. So that's a short answer.
Okay. Someone says, do you know any info about the chief of staff possibly being a confidential informant?
No, and that's not anything that anybody will know, right? Confidential informants are important to government investigations, right? Sometimes the government can only really investigate a case by getting somebody on the inside in secret and things like that. And so confidential informants and their names and identities are sometimes these things are withheld, right? Even once the case gets into court.
All right. Could he escape a conviction by moving to a country like France? I don't think France has no extradition, but I think they mean like a place that has no extradition, no extradition.
Well, if he goes to a place that has no extradition treaty with the United States, then it's possible that he could just stay there forever and hope that never changes. But very few people have been able to really do that. Plus, I can't see P. Diddy living in Russia or some other country for any prolonged period of time. So that's the only way I can really answer that question. Again, it's a speculative question. I can't imagine that he will flee in this case to the point where they won't be able to get him back.
All right. Let's go to JC. Hey, JC.
Hey. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. Yes. What's up, Nick? How are you? Good. Oh, no, it's not afternoon yet where I am, but this is so, you already know it's so familiar to us. This is crazy. I had a question
for us?
I only have a question, and I'll drop down. My question is, I heard, and I'm still trying to, everybody's trying to get information, but do you guys know about this alleged daughter that he adopted that is missing? And this is what actually prompted this sudden raid? And she was a Caucasian younger girl.
I have never heard anything about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that.
Okay.
Did you have another question?
No, I just wanted, maybe you guys could look into that. I'm gonna be looking into it, but this is something that they're saying that with all the other allegations that really made this come down hard, all like on him. But I'm not sure. But it's just
All
see
right.
everything. Yeah, that was it. I was wondering if you guys heard that or not.
No, we didn't hear that. All right. Thank you, JC.
You're welcome.
All right. Sorry. Charles.
Hey, how y'all doing? This Uncle Charles.
Hey.
Let me say this. I'm really kind of upset because Diddy is like a bunny rabbit. Every time you look around, he hopping somewhere, and every time he hops somewhere, can't nobody find him. Let me say this. Oh, it's one thing about a black woman, a black sister. No matter how trifling her son is, she's not gonna leave him behind. But this fool don't change the narrative. There's no way in the world that I could have got myself in all this trouble and left my sons behind when it's my bag. I would have never did it. Now I'm gonna say this in closing because I like the flow of the show. I don't want to mess it up, man. I love this show. Let me tell y'all something. This man did a lot of things to women.
Do you have a question?
Yeah. I want to know this. Do they got a right to go get him over there? Because you're talking about Homeland Security. That's abroad and everywhere. So I want to know if they're able to go get it. And that'll be my question.
If they're able to go get him, if he has fled.
If he flees and he doesn't want to come back, then the first question is whether or not there's an extradition policy with the country to which he fled. If there is, then there's a process and he'll likely come back by force. If there's no extradition policy, then it's a bit difficult because then there's no contract, obviously. And so then it becomes problematic, which is kind of what, folks like Edward Snowden have done and other people over the years.
Well, I tell you what, I know he's guilty. You know why? Because he ran. So that narrative is over. If you get innocent, you don't run. You don't run, you stand up and you fight for yourself. And that's all I got to say, and I appreciate y'all.
All right. Thank you, Charles. William?
Yo,
Hey.
my question is, if he's overseas, right? Well, not overseas. Well, if he's out the country, can the FBI still search the property that he's at now and find evidence at where he's at now? Because he might be having something at the location he's at now. Because a lot of people speculating that, he may be on that island taking care of hiding evidence and all that good stuff. So could the FBI actually do something over that way as well?
Are you talking about property that's in America?
I'm talking about the property that he's at right now, currently.
Well,
we don't know where he's at.
Nobody knows where he is. I certainly don't know where he is. But if you're in the U.S., then you can get a warrant if it's justified and execute that warrant. Okay,
hypothetically speaking, if he was in that particular spot where they say he's at right now, which is, I guess they say Barbados or something close to that.
So generally, the U.S. wouldn't have jurisdiction over there, right? There would have to be a discussion between the two governments, and that's really murky territory.
Oh, okay. All right. I appreciate it, man.
No worries. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Truth. We're gonna take probably like one or two more, and then we're gonna be done.
Hello.
Truth.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
So I was just coming up about Ava Combs that the lady had brought up about the little girl. It was a live that P. Diddy had did on Instagram that was recorded with him and the little girl and his son. You can Google it and see it for yourself. But he said that he adopted a little girl and that she was living on the streets, and he had her to explain everything that was going on. So that's what she was talking about.
Okay.
Okay. But just
All right.
Google it
Thank
and you
you.
can say, thank you.
All right. All right. So that was the last caller. Nobody else clicked in. It started getting crazy after a little while. I don't know if it's too early. I don't know if y'all ain't had your coffee yet. But All right, we'll take one more. This is the last one. Nurse Beanie.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Calling from the Netherlands. Yeah, I have a question. How would that work? Like, how would Interpol work with this if he were to flee to a country that had extradition? How would Interpol be involved? Because I know Interpol is a big thing over here where I'm at in Europe. So
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of
look,
curious.
sure. So if he flees to a country that has, with the United States, an extradition policy, which is most developed countries, then what will happen is the government here in the U.S. will contact the government wherever he is, and that government will initiate proceedings to bring him back, as long as the treaty is complied with, which it's rarely not, right? If the U.S. wants somebody back here, if there's a treaty, they'll usually get them back. And then it'll depend on the proceedings in that country. He'll ultimately be detained, and then he'll be brought back here. Now, if he's somewhere else and they can't find him, then, as to what you're saying, maybe agencies like Interpol and other places will get involved to simply investigate and try to find him, right? So that's how that works.
Okay. I appreciate your response. Thank you.
Yes,
Have a
ma'am.
good.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Liz, you is this the same question or a different one? This is the absolute last person. Is it the same question that they already asked 5 times? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Demetri. Hey, Liz. Demetri, thank you for your
It
time.
sounds like you
Thank you
underwater
for
though,
giving
but I can't hear you hardly. But go ahead.
Oh, hold on. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, anyway. What's the likelihood, like, if he is using his funds to travel, just get, move on his jet to go to Antigua and this and that? What are the likelihood that, the government will freeze his accounts and all of that, do a Wendy Williams on him, if you will, restrict him from travel?
So, your audio is kind of going in and out, but I guess I think you said, what's the likeliness that his bank accounts can get frozen so that he can't travel? Is that what's the likeliness that his assets could be frozen?
Well, again, it depends on whether, look, in the United States, the government can't take anything away from you until they go to court, right? There's due process, right? That's what due process means, right? Life, liberty, property without due process of law. So the government can't take away your stuff. They can't take away your freedom, your house, your property, your money, anything, right? Without going to court first. So if they go to court in some way, and there's some cause to believe that these funds are being used for wrong reasons, so on and so forth, then the government has mechanisms in place to figure out how to keep that money from being used for those purposes. Obviously, you have to leave him with money for lawyers and other things if he's actually a defendant in the criminal case.
All right. All right. And Liz, get you a new Bluetooth, or I could donate you one, girl. All right. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys go to DShack Law. Somebody in the chat had asked, why would a person need more than one attorney? And then that's just the end.
Oh, look, you're entitled to as many lawyers as you want in this country within reason, but that reason is usually stretched out, right? You can't have 40 lawyers, but you can have a lot. No judge will really take away your right to have as many lawyers as you want, unless there's some obvious reason that is being done for something inappropriate, basically.
All right. So let them know where they can find you on your social media.
Yes. Well, I hope this was helpful. We're still at the outset. We're kind of at the beginning of this whole thing. So hopefully I'll be back. But if you want to listen to me talk about things like this and other such things, then you can go on my YouTube. It's youtube.com/DShackLaw. And feel free to reach out to me. You can find my email on there, other things if you have any questions. And I'm here. And I appreciate you listening. Thanks, folks.
All right. And we're going to end it right there. Bye, you guys.
Take care.